So, wow, we've got some heat in here today. Current temperature 46, has been as high as 48. So I'm going to need to give a quick water. Look at that, how that bit of heat's just made those cabbage wilt a bit. We definitely need to get some water in here today. And then we can get on with the next steps. I'll show you what I'm up to. I'll tell you what, before I do that, let's have a quick look at seeds. So lobelia, really coming on now. Tagetes, really looking good. Don't know whether I'm going to just plant those straight out or pot them on. There's some more lobelia, doing quite well in that tray. And then we've got early broccolis, all germinated. We've got moneymaker tomatoes getting their second leaves. They'll be okay for a little while because they're in fairly big cells. These are my cucumbers, market more. I can see my first runner bean just poking its head up. Need to water those. And over here, nothing on any of the squash yet. Rocket came up, of course, because it's so rapid. And what have we got here? This is Toscana, and we've got a few coming up of that. And we've got the red Ursa broccoli. No, not broccoli, kale. And that's coming up well. Looks like I'm going to need to pot on my celeriac soon. And we've got 3 different varieties in there, I think. And we seem to have mixed germination from this one. Can't really see that, it's too bright in here. And then the Brussels sprouts really come on nicely. The tomatoes that are potted on are doing well, as are the lettuce. And as I say, those cabbage are good, but they do need a water. And then over here, swede doing brilliantly. Tomatoes, no problem at all. Got no parsnips up yet. Gonna need to get those sweet peas out quick. And the beetroot's doing really well. And then I need to start freeing up in here, ready to put my carrots in. Right, bit of a water first, I think. Amazing how things dry out once the temperatures start to soar. And actually the capillary matting in here has curled where it's so dry. Probably should have watered all of this first thing this morning, to be honest. But there we are. Other pressing things got in the way. Right, that's looking a bit better. Give it plenty of water in the base. Get my onions nicely watered. The deeper the root tray, the longer they withstand a bit of warmth because there's that much more soil. Get these cabbage from wilting. And the basil, of course, loves this heat, and I can see that it's just starting to form its second leaves on all those original cotyledons, as they're known. Strawberries as well. And the strawberries, people have commented on how green and how tall they are, and I think it's got something to do with the potash or sulfate of potash that I added to the soil. It certainly helps. Right, more water. Everything's thirsty. Well, my tulips are well and truly over. Just leave those now to drop their petals, and then I'll think about cleaning that up, perhaps putting a few of those flowers in. I've been watching these dahlias for a few weeks now, nothing at all, and then today, absolutely loads of shoots. So that just shows you that little bit of warmth makes a massive difference. It's also driving a few of the perennial weeds. I've got some mare's tail coming up in there. I was delighted to see, almost overnight, the broad beans I put down here, and these are the self-seeded ones, or saved seed ones, and they've come up in nearly every station. I think there's one missing here, but we'll keep an eye on that. Must get that parsnip out today. And then these, which were bought seed, not saved seed, again, a whole load of them coming up. And I've been tempted to weed this bed, but I just wanted everything to get up out of the ground before I did. So I'm sort of tolerating the weeds that I would normally take out. Okay, what's next? Right, well, this bed is on my agenda today. And you'll see I've mown the grass, but I've always intended to take more of an edge out of here and out of this side. I want to create that air gap so that I don't get any encroaching grass onto the bed. So taking this edge out again should enable me to achieve that. A few weeds to get out, and then I want to just make this a little bit more level so that it reaches out to the sides that I'm going to make, because this is a bed that has never had onions grown in it, and therefore, as suggested by a couple of subscribers, this might be a good bed to put my onions in. And that is the case. I'm definitely going to do that. I've got one other bed which I'm going to put my favourite onions in. I'll show you that in a bit. Of course, mowing the lawn or grass enables me to cover my potatoes with grass cuttings, and that really helps to keep the moisture in, which helps the potatoes. So that was good to get done. And this bed's a bit pressing now because I'm getting a bit of weed growth, so I need to tidy it up, and I've got all this bindweed growing, and I need to solve that before it starts winding round and round the black currants. So that's at the back of my mind. Garlic's looking good. Well, it's pretty simple stuff, this. The only thing I would say, it's worth spending just 2 minutes getting some stakes together so that you can create a line. In my experience, trying to cut a straight line by eye really doesn't work very well. Okay, bit of string. There we go. It's just a simple guide. Push it in a bit further, and that's my line. I'll get underway. That's step one done. It didn't really take very long because just taking the edges off like that is a simple task, but it does make it look neat, and that string helped. So I've just got a few weeds I want to hook out, especially those stinging nettles, because once they get rooted they're a problem. And then try and get a little bit more of a level surface ready for planting. So weeding time. That's looking pretty good. I will clear out the channels by the sides, but otherwise I've got a pretty flat surface. That much wider now, about 4 foot of planting room. And well, I thought I was going to plant, but I can tell you it's very warm, and I'm thinking that isn't going to be good for planting young onions. So I think I'm going to wait until I've got a bit more cloud cover, or come out this evening when it's cooling down and get them in the ground. So that feels like a good job done. Good times. Let's show you what sugar and lavender are up to. They love to get under these jostaberries, and they get down under there, and you can see all the flat ground. They literally sit there for hours. So they're having a great time, which is lovely to see. I also noticed this morning that 2 of the water lily's leaves have broken the surface. That's good to see as well, and there's a good 3 or 4 still to come in there, new leaves. I'm hoping that they'll get quite a lot bigger, give a bit of shade to some of the wildlife that's in there. particularly the newts. I never got back. So this morning I'm going to carry on with those onions, and it's a lot cooler. It's going to get warm today, but there's a nice chill in the air. It's a beautiful summer's morning. Got to do my routine before I get started. The girlies are waiting to come out. So morning girlies. Come on then. Straight out. And these girlies. Good morning girlies. Looks like you need a bit of food. Oh yes. Right, let's open that for you. How are you this morning? Good. Come on then. Well, they've certainly got used to getting out of their pen every morning, and they're enjoying the grass every day. I'm looking after a neighbour's polytunnel whilst he's away for a week. So it's a simple open and close routine, bit of watering if necessary. It's good to have neighbours that want to reciprocate on those sort of things because it helps us all. So, just need to make sure that's up. And this door opens in. There's a lovely little polytunnel, really nice size. And he's made these flaps, which are fantastic. So I'm just gonna move them out. It's got one of these tents for growing seeds, which outside they're not very practical, but inside they're superb. And it's just got a few things growing on, and I'll uncover that propagator lid just so that there's plenty of air getting to the peppers and things he's got growing there. And I'll come back later on and water this if it gets a bit warm. I will open the door and fix it, I think. So there we are, that's that fixed, open, and the tunnel should be good to go for the day. Right, back down onto my plot. I need to open my polytunnel door. It's certainly going to warm up today, so get as much air in there as possible. Just keep the temperature under control, because if it gets too hot, everything starts to wilt, even if you water it. Alright, how are we looking today? Pretty good. So yesterday it got up to 48 degrees, which is pretty darn hot. And last night it only got down to 5 degrees, so quite warm during the night. And my cabbage, which was showing the very earliest signs of wilting, seems to be absolutely fine. And everything's reasonably damp this morning. More runner beans come up, which is lovely. And hopefully it won't need watering till later on in the day if it stays sunny. What a privilege it is to be in your allotment on a nice summer's morning. Best picture champion. Let's hope this year they work out well. And of course, Zebrun. Without doubt, my favourite shallots. Okay, here we go. It doesn't hurt to stand on this bed because it's made of compost, and therefore it really doesn't suffer from compressing because it's got that bouncy quality about it. Well, I'm just going to use a baton, give myself some spacing, start about there, and I'm just going to envisage the sort of size of onion that I want, and then space accordingly with, you know, about 4 or 5 inches in between. So no real set plan, but just make sure I've got a decent amount of spacing. And this root trainer is probably going to be a bit troublesome because it does break down over time. So let's just squeeze one of these and then pull out the onion and see how we go. There's nothing short of pushing from the bottom. There we go, that's not bad. So nice long roots. I guess the roots, they're about a third of the height of the actual plant, so that's looking really good. And just make myself a nice hole so that I can get that whole root ball down in the ground. At this edge is a little bit more of the original soil, so it's going to take a little bit more effort. It gets easier as I go down. Now it's too deep. I'm going to try and get it so that the green is at ground level and the roots are below. And you know, some of them may flop over, but they'll stand up in good time once the roots get established. So that's my line. And the next one, I'm going to prepare the hole before I get it out of the root trainer. And I can see the clay that's under here because, as I say, the compost is a bit shallow here. But there we go. And that'll probably be more than enough. Try and get the next one out. Give it a bit of a squeeze. And this one's really disintegrated at the top of the root trainer. But we're going to carry on and try. Here it comes. Yeah, there we go. And there's a nice plant. That's about the height. Just firm it in, not too hard, because you want to crush all those roots that you've been growing so carefully. There we are. Nicely in a row, and I've got probably 5 inches between those. Well, that's an awful lot of planting to do, but I'm going to enjoy it. So that's the Bedfordshire Champions in, and they're a medium onion, so I've put those reasonably close together. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, and there's 4 rows of those. So the next batch of onions I'm going to put in is the Ailsa Craig, and they've always got a bit larger for me, so I'm going to go 4 across, and I'm going to leave just a slightly bigger gap so that I can see the different batches of onions. And there's a few more of those, I think. No, actually there's not quite as many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, there is. So there might be a few more of those. That's going to come down and leave just enough space for the Zebrune, and they'll go in the end. That's the plan anyway. Let's get them in and see what they look like. Bedfordshire Champion and Ailsa Craig. What do I know about spacing? Haven't got a clue. I've left myself, well, not enough space for even 2 rows so, of the shallots. I think what I'm going to do is just put those last few Bedfordshire Champion that I've got left, a bit fiddly to get out, but I think I'll put them in there. And then this is just 2 varieties of onion, and those, well, they'll have to go somewhere else. I'll find somewhere. Well, it looks good. I'm really pleased with it, and I'll just give it a bit of a water in now, not too much, because otherwise it'll make all these small onion plants just lean over. They'll stand up, but just give them a little bit of a drink, and we're job done. And I can get on to trying to find out where I'm going to put those shallots. I'm sure I'll come up with somewhere. I know I've said this before, but these deep-rooted trays, I've lost the bottom of one where it's just gradually disintegrated at the top. I'll still use the others, so it's got some life in it yet. But these, they work so well. So easy to get the plants out, so rigid, and will last years and years and years. A bit more expensive, worth every single penny. Container-wise, every time.